Hey guys, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast. Mark Schlereth alongside Mike Evans. It is time for the Leftovers podcast. Last weekend, I was in New England calling the New England Patriots versus the Cleveland Browns. And I'm telling you what, the New England Patriots are legit. I mean, they're legit. They can really play. And what Drake Maye is doing right now is really pretty incredible for a second-year quarterback. And you got to think about it, man. So he was at North Carolina a couple years ago, right? That whatever that offense was, whatever that coordinator was, last year in New England, right? And then turnover. He had Alex Van Pelt was his offensive coordinator, and then the turnover of a new coaching staff, getting Josh McDaniels, and this kid is playing. You could forget about saying, hey, he's one of the great young quarterbacks in the league. You can just say he's one of the great quarterbacks in the league. He's playing at an MVP level right now at the quarterback position.
And does this surprise you? Because when we here in Denver, we knew the Broncos were going to take a quarterback that year, that class. So you did a deep dive into all those quarterbacks, all 6 of them. And if I remember, I don't mean to put you in, well, I do want to put you in an awkward position. You weren't that sold on Drake Maye, were you, coming out of college?
No.
You thought there was kind of a high bust factor of possibility there.
Oh, well, I did not like, I just did not like coming from the North Carolina thing. And, they made so much buzz out of, the deep ball this and the deep ball that. And so I was skeptical coming out, and man, he is playing. I mean, just was wrong. He's playing great football. He really is. And the things you don't know when you just watch film, as you sit and talk to Josh McDaniels, his ability to not repeat mistakes, his ability to throw the deep ball with incredible accuracy, his appetite for information and knowledge. And he said one of the really cool things about Drake Maye, there's a lot of guys who can understand the game on a grease board, right? Here, let me draw it all up for you. And when they do this, we're going to do this and that, right, whatever. Or watch it on film and say, hey, man, here they are. You see the safety start to rotate and he rolls down and, 3 strong, right? Whatever. So there's a lot of guys that can see that and go, okay, I get it. Josh is like, I can on the field say, hey, man, they played this. And he can visualize that in his brain and go, okay, I got it. It's almost like photographic. I played with this guy who was a speed reader. And I was watching him read a book one day, and I'm like, this I call bullshit, right? There's no way. Absolutely no way.
He's not retaining any
I mean,
of
it was
this.
just like, boom, boom, pay like this. That's how fast he read.
Yeah.
Mo Eluanibi.
Yeah.
Just doom, 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 doom.
And you're like,
doom.
tell me what the plot is.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me that book. I just took it from him, right? So there I am, like, see Dick run. Bum, 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 right? And I'm just plodding along. I read a chapter, right? So then I gave it back to him. I go, all right, read it. All right. Boom, 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 boom. All right, tell me about it. That dude knew more about that chapter just reading like that. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How is that even possible? And now this is what he told me. And it always stuck with me because I was like, gosh, I wish I could do that. He said, when I read, I'm not even conscious of the letters or the words on the page. He goes, when I read, it becomes like I'm watching a movie. And it just is like, huh? He knew everything about it. He goes, it's just like, doom, doom. And it's like, I'm not even aware of.
And that's how great quarterbacks look at defense.
And that's what Josh was telling me. He's like, I can say, hey, man, he can come off on the sideline and go, hey, they were doing this. He's like, all right. And he's got the picture in his mind. He go, okay, I know what to do. And then he's just like, he doesn't repeat mistakes. And what he's done is he's grown into this leadership role where if he doesn't like something on a Thursday practice, we're repeating it. I'm in charge here. And he's taken that kind of growth aspect to his offense. And it's just been fun to watch him, man. He is really playing good football.
The other thing I noticed about him, and I'm just, armchair amateur fan here, but one thing that seems to strike me when I watch him play is his poise and willingness to stand in the pocket. You see so many young quarterbacks who are just looking for any reason, even reasons that aren't there, to escape the pocket. He'll stand in there. I mean, he'll stand in there to the point where it almost becomes a detriment at times. He got a ball knocked away from him yesterday as he was standing in the pocket, but he just seems like he's willing to stand there and wait for that play to develop, and especially the deep shots, and then deliver. He doesn't really seem fazed by what's going on around him.
He's really worked on transferring in the pocket. It's one of the drills they do all the time. And what I mean by you get to the top of your drop and now climb, transfer into the pocket. And, one of the things the coaching staff told me is like college football doesn't prepare guys to play in the NFL. Nobody transfers in the pocket. Everybody escapes out the back end of the pocket because that's college football. And you got to climb. And so what they're really working on now is progressions. So when you watch him, he'll do a lot of front side progression, 1, 2, it's not open, 1 or 2 is not open, take off and go make yards with your feet. And so they want him to go 1, 2, let's get to the backside, 3, 4. And that's part of the process. And he does it occasionally, but a lot of times he'll just be like, man, I can go make yards right now. And so that's something that he's done, exceptionally well. That's part of the next kind of phase of the growth. But, I always look at it like this, and I said it on the broadcast yesterday. Like, I want a quarterback that happens to be an exceptional athlete. And when you look at Drake Maye, his father played quarterback at North Carolina. He plays quarterback in North Carolina. So the kid's been classically trained since he was a little kid on how to play quarterback. Mm-hmm. And then he just grew into this exceptional athlete, right? His one brother won a national championship playing basketball at North Carolina. His other brother won a national championship playing baseball at Florida, right? All his brothers, they all played collegiately, right? And so he's this exceptional athlete. But first and foremost, he's a classically trained quarterback. The problem with college football is most guys are exceptional athletes that they make into quarterbacks, not exceptional quarterbacks that happen to be athletic. And he happens to have that right formula on that.
When you look at play callers, and sometimes I think we give play callers too much credit, or maybe they get too much blame.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a sequence yesterday, and I was just watching games yesterday, but your game popped up on Red Zone, and there was the sequence that led to a touchdown. And I thought there was like a 4 or 5 play sequence in a row where I thought Josh McDaniels put on a play calling clinic. And you always talk about how the best play callers are the ones that can give a defense the same look but run different plays out of it.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of plays down by a goal line that ended up resulting in a touchdown where I thought was a perfect example where they used jet sweep motion twice, same look, but ran 2 different plays out of it.
Yeah.
One was to Pop Douglas.
One they handed off to Pop Douglas. He took it for however many yards, 7, 8 yards, whatever it was. And then they come right back to it the next play going the opposite way, and they run it with Diggs, and off of it they ran some type of kind of almost flood concept with a boot out the backside.
Was it to Henry for a touchdown or?
Yeah, well, it was
right-hand corner there.
Yeah, it was to the tight end. And
I was like, that's some next level play calling right there.
But the coolest part of that is I'm sitting in a meeting on Friday with Josh, and I'm like, hey man, this Cleveland defense, they run a ton of pinch, scrape stuff inside. And I always think back to when I see defenses that do that, like where they line up is not where they're gonna. Like if the defensive tackle is lined up at a 3, like as a 3 technique, so he's a B gap player right there. That's not the gap he's going to defend. He's pinching hard to the A gap, the linebacker scraping the B gap. That's how Jim Schwartz runs his defense, right? And so they want to get penetration. They want to get you in the backfield and make you stop running the ball. And I always think about that's how the Raiders used to play us when I played here in Denver. And they get you for 1 yard, they get you for 0, they get you for 2, they get you, and then all of a sudden you crack one for 48, right? And so if you're really good in a zone scheme, you can defeat that if everybody's on the same track. Well, anyhow, Josh was like, we're going to run some zone. We've got some adjustments to the zone that we want to run. We're going to run some inside wham and trap, so look for that. He told me that. He goes, but Jim Schwartz will run a bunch of wide nines. His defensive ends are going to be really wide, so he's like really hard to get outside on that. Well, anyhow, the game goes on. They hit a trap. They hit an inside wham trap for like a pop-out 15-yard run or something. But then they get hit in the backfield like 3 or 4 times. It's not working very well. And all of a sudden, midstream, he changes what he's doing. And so there's 2 ways they attack the edge. First, if you can't block the edge, like if you can't block a guy, this is a college term. If you can't block him, read him. I mean, we're not going to block him at all. And we're going to run some type of zone read stuff off of him. So they started doing like zone read flip stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so the defensive end is kind of trapped out there as a 9, stops his feet. He's either pitching hard or his feet stop, and now we flip it outside of him. And so they got a couple of reads where the defensive ends were trapped in no man's land, even though they were wide 9s, and they got outside on the perimeter and absolutely gashed Cleveland on the perimeter. So now we've got a couple of those, and then we go to the pin and pull stuff. So now all of a sudden we motion a guy from outside back in, bam, we hit that 9 technique, and then we pitch it out. And now we've captured the perimeter again in a pin and pull stuff, but they did it with different ways. So it's a flip. Now all of a sudden we're not blocking that guy, and we're faking the inside handoff, and then we're running the jet sweep off of it, and we're getting around it. And so I thought the way they attacked the edge of the defense was exceptional. And I had talked to Josh, I texted with him after the game, and he's like, yeah, you know what? We just got crushed inside a couple of times, and we got a couple of negative plays and stuff. So we felt like the best opportunity, because we weren't getting all that stuff because of all their pinches and scrapes and all the stuff they do inside. We thought our best opportunities if we could capture the outside of the defense and then set up some play actions off of that. Like, the guy is a master when it comes to play calling and exploiting kind of a defensive weakness.
Yeah, getting him back for Drake Maye's development was absolutely huge. We're going on and on about Josh and Drake Maye, but what about this defense? How about this? The Patriots are the only team since 1950 to go through the first 8 games of a season without allowing an opposing running back to reach 50 yards in a game. Their defense has been outstanding.
Their defense has been outstanding, and it's really cool. You covered Bill Parcells back when he was with Dallas. You were working in Dallas.
In New England.
Oh, New England.
Him in New England.
In New England, okay.
Yeah.
So you were covering him when he was with New England. And one of the things, I played against Bill Parcells when he was coaching the Giants, and I played against Bill Parcells when he was coaching New England. I played against Bill Parcells when he was coaching the Jets, right? So, like, I've seen it. And Bill Parcells always brought a couple of guys with him. Pepper Johnson, everywhere he go. Steve Diassi, right? Like, he brought some of his guys with him everywhere he went. And Mike Vrabel, on the defensive side of the ball, Mike Vrabel brought Landry from Tennessee with him, brought Gibbons from Tennessee with him, brought Spillane from Tennessee. Then he went to the Raiders, but so he's got these guys who know exactly what coach wants, how to implement things, all that stuff. And you watch the way they play defense. And this is not like your normal, like New England, hey, we run a 3-4 and we 2-gap our defensive ends, and man, they're more shift, movement, multiple fronts, get penetration, do all those things. They've been really, really tied together as a defense. But again, I go back to bring your guys along that understand what you're trying to accomplish and that you can count on. The last thing I'll say is about New England is it's about building relationships, right? And I always say this, we're all in the relationship game. And if you're not in the relationship, you're like all in the relationship business. And if you're not in the relationship business, you're going out of business. And he does a great job basically developing relationships. And we're talking about Stephon Diggs, who's been great for them. I mean, great. He said, man, I tried to recruit him at Ohio State when I was coaching there. And I had him in the Pro Bowl, and he was great. And so he's come here and been nothing but the consummate professional and has done a great job for them. And again, man, moving the chains, being a first down tone setter, moving the chains on third down, the guy has been really good for them.
Meanwhile, Cleveland, we just got done talking about what Drake Maye and his development, his ascension means for the Patriots. If you think you got that guy, man, suddenly the future looks bright. Being around Cleveland for a couple of days, how would you describe their quarterback situation? Any hope there?
I think they like Dylan Gabriel. I mean, he's young. Obviously, he's a rookie. You look at the first 4 games he's played. All right, so first he played against Minnesota, and you know that dude. I mean, they're going to blitz you. They're going to come after you. They're going to, right, man. Flores is just going to come after you, right? Then they have to go to Pittsburgh and play against Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers and T.J. Watt and all that stuff, right? So that's not ideal. Then they play against Miami in a monsoon in Cleveland. And then you go up to New England and you hope you're going to get your offense into a rhythm. And, right, the defense shuts them down in the run game, and you got Judkins who gets hurt early and goes out of the game. So you have no semblance of a run game. And they played him tight for the first half, but then it just kind of fell apart. And he had a couple of good throws early, had a couple of good designs, threw it to Fanning for a touchdown. That was a really nice design where the tight end Fanning comes out of the backfield and they lost him in coverage and it was wide open. And so they had a couple of good plays. First drive, they drove right down, scored a touchdown. So they had a couple of good opening series, but then it just kind of fell apart for them late.
I don't normally talk about second string or third string or fourth string quarterbacks on this podcast, but I mean, I got to ask you, because of the attention he draws, Shadeur Sanders, again, being around the Browns for a couple days. I mean, for Browns fans watching this who are hopeful that they'll get a chance to maybe see Shadeur, we'll all get a chance to see if he can play or not. What do you think?
I think that right now, just the sense I get, and I don't know, this is more of the sense I get, that he is not ready to play yet. And whatever you can say whatever you want out of that, like just from a like being ready to assimilate everything. He's had some injury issues. He's had he missed. He didn't dress this weekend because of a back issue. So there's been some of those setbacks that I just don't feel like he's quite ready for prime time. Bailey Zappi was the backup quarterback this weekend because of his back issue that cropped up on a Thursday or a Friday or whatever it was. So I just don't. My sense is that, not quite ready to play yet. And I know, people are going to get into, oh, you got to start him and you got to do this, you got to do that. I understand that talk, but part of it is you've got to believe that guy as a coaching staff is ready to play. And I don't get the sense that that's the case.
Myles Garrett had an amazing game.
Oh my gosh.
5 sacks?
5.
Whew.
And they double-teamed him on every one of them. Now, I didn't like the way they double-teamed him. So, and I mentioned this in broadcast, the tight end blocked him 1,000, slip, then the tackle takes him over. So that's a one-on-one. He defeats that one-on-one. Then he got another one-on-one. I'd like to see him vice him with 4 hands on him, right, and just try to slow him down. But he was absolutely incredible. They're moving him around. Now, he's easy to find because he's got 95 on his chest, and he's 6'4", and he's 275 pounds. So he's pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
But that dude is absolutely amazing.
All right, we'll wrap this up on you got him on a dad joke.
Oh, my God.
One of your classic dad jokes.
Okay, so
Stink's got a million dad jokes.
All right.
So this might be his best one.
So you are going to play. You're going to play the role of Myles Garrett.
All right, cool.
Okay, so imagine
look bigger here.
him being Myles Garrett.
All right.
And I am having an interview with Myles Garrett.
Okay.
And I'd ask him about, or one of us, I think it was Chris Myers, asked him about any pregame rituals and stuff. And so he starts in on, I like to listen to classical music, and I like to read about like historical warriors and things of that nature. Okay.
Yeah, so you want to.
So
I'm familiar with the story, so we can do the whole thing.
So I go, oh, so you like, to read about warriors and so who's your favorite like historical, mythical, whatever it is, warrior? Who's the guy that just you resonate with?
I love Achilles.
Oh, Achilles. Yeah, have you in all your journey through reading about Achilles, have you ever read about his twin brother?
Achilles had I've read it all. I didn't know he had a twin brother.
Oh yeah, he had a twin brother. His name is Bophdes.
Bophdes?
Yeah, Bophdes. And
Bophdes what?
Yeah, I go, well, Bophdes, like, so that Achilles, right, had the Achilles heel, right?
Yeah,
So his mother dipped Achilles in the river Styx,
yes,
to make him immortal by the heel. So that was the only weakness.
Right.
His twin brother, Bophdes, she dipped him in the river Styx by his testicles. So, and he looks at me like, yeah, like what?
Testicles.
Yeah, so everybody's heard of the Achilles heels. I go, the Achilles heel, but very few have ever heard of both of these nuts. And he busts out laughing so hard, he didn't even see it coming.
Yeah.
He didn't see it coming.
Who does?
And
nobody there did.
I was literally like a proud father.
Oh, you love that.
I was like, meeting's over. Meeting's adjourned.
Drop the mic.
My producer looked at me like,
so embarrassed.
He was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, I cannot let that go.
Yeah.
If the guy says Achilles,
if he says Achilles,
then it's on. It is just on.
Then you got to go to both.
It was my proudest moment. It really was my proudest moment. Yeah, it was awesome. By the way, let me just say this really quick. Defensively, like Alex Wright's playing great. I mean, Myles Garrett is a freak show. Schlesinger, the rookie they got out of UCLA, playing great football. They have got a ton of big time players, right? I mean, they do. They're really good on that side of the ball. Unfortunately, their offense just can't support them. So, you know what's going to happen when that's the case.
Do you think they resist the urge at the trade deadline and maybe sell off some parts, maybe keep this defense together as the undisputed strength of this team and just continue to try to build up the offense?
What are they gonna? There's a couple things I don't like about just the offense, and this happens to I think a lot of teams. So you look at like their offensive line, for instance. Their offensive line has historically been one of the better offensive lines in football.
Yep.
So what do you do come draft time or come free agent time when you have a pretty good offensive line? You don't address it, right? Because it's a position of strength.
Right.
And then eventually, you know what happens to that position of strength?
Becomes a weakness.
It gets old. It gets old and becomes a weakness. So if you look at it, Batonio is in his 12th year. Posek is in his 9th year. Teller, 8th year. Conklin, 10th year. Cam Robinson, 9th year. Like you've got a bunch of dude. Cornelius Lucas, 11th year. You've got a bunch of dudes that have been playing for a very, very long time. And all of a sudden I'm watching them and they're not the same strength they used to be. The other thing is every one of their wide receivers, Mike, 5'10", 190 pounds, 5'11", 180, 5'11", 190, 5'11", 200, 5'8", 171. They're Lilliputians. And you capture and you win on the edges and in the corners with big people. Like when you want to run a fade in the back corner of the end zone, you don't run it with a 5'7" guy or a 5'8" guy. You run it with a 6'2" guy They can go up and grab it, right? They can be big and physical. On the edges of a football team, in the corners of the end zone, that's where you win. The way they're constructed, they got a bunch of tiny little speed guys. They're one-dimensional guys. And historically, last year they led the league in drops with 34. This year, they're second in the league with drops. Going into this game, they had 16 drops. Jerry Jeudy's second in the league in drops right now to Brian Thomas of Jacksonville, who had 9. Jerry Jeudy has 8. So you're little and you drop the ball. And how are you going to bail out your quarterback who's struggling? So I don't like the way they've constructed this roster on the offensive side of the ball. That's something they're going to have to deal with as well.
All right. Good stuff.
All right, man. For everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth podcast, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. For Mike, I am Mark. We'll be back with you guys later on in the week.